Hi, everyone. Our topic will be on the Portugal Golden Visa. I will be introducing a little bit about the Golden Visa, and then our legal counsel will be talking about a little bit more about the application process, the timeline, the eligibility of the investment options, and then also he could talk about because I know a lot of audience are also interested in how to get the citizenship after the Golden Visa. So he will talk a little bit about that. A little bit about myself. I'm the founder and CEO of the Golden Portugal. And I've been a nomad or expat pretty much all my life. I was born in Hong Kong, and then I grew up in Toronto. And then after I graduated from university, I went back to Hong Kong. I worked there. I worked in Macau, Shenzhen, and I studied also in France, in Bordeaux and Annecy. And then from 2018, I moved to Lisbon. And that's how I started. I was working in the telecom and banking industry before. And so when I moved to Lisbon, I had to go through all the immigrations process. And so that's how I started the company, because I go through the same obstacle as a lot of people are going through when they come to a new country. And I think getting someone who can, and I think I can help them by providing better, more responsive service, more transparent information. And just someone who has gone through the whole process we support them in, other than the visa applications, we know what people are going through when they do the immigrations. And we have been one of the experts in the Portugal Golden Visa area. We have helped 500 families already to successfully get the Golden Visa, and our success rate until now is 100%. Unlike a lot of agencies, we just focus in Portugal. So let me discuss a little bit about, tell you a little bit about the program. The Portugal Golden Visa is actually ranked #1 globally in the immigration by investment program. And we can see that Portugal is ranked at, has a score of 10 in their passport power ranking, and then has a score of 9 in the quality of life. And the reputation of the program has a score of 8. So actually a lot of people have been going through since the launch of the Golden Visa in 2012. It's already 12 years, and the reputation has been pretty good. Until recently, there are a little bit of some delays in getting the approval and so on, but people get the visa, get the citizenship, and also an aid on the tax regime. And one of to note about some of you might not be aware of, because people think about the immigration, they look at the different regulations, but for the inheritance tax, a lot of people might not be aware. Portugal actually has a 0 inheritance tax for direct descendants and spouse. So actually, recently we had launched a quiz to a lot of potential audience and potential clients on if the readiness of going through the Portugal Golden Visa. And I'm just going to share a few interesting findings from the quiz that we have. And one of the questions we asked was what are they ready to move, to relocate, or they want the flexibility of not leaving their own country yet? And we have a 93% of yes, they don't want to relocate, but they want to start the immigration process immediately. And that's the most interesting part of the Portugal Golden Visa. You could actually apply for it, and you just stay 7 days per year or 14 days per 2 years. And after 5 years, counting from the day of your online submission, you can apply for the citizenship anymore. And it's not comparable to any other European Golden Visa, like Greece, Hungary, Spain, Cyprus. You have to live there 7, 8, 10 years. And the second one is what are the most important things you're looking for in your second second passport or the second country. So people can take more than one. So you can see it's very, the result is very, in general, very balanced, but we can see that the safety of the country is one of the major issues that people are looking for. And then it's the high quality of life, good weather. Yeah, and then you can see Portugal is the 7th safest country in the world in the latest Peace Index study. And it has been rated for the best city, best quality of life, most family-friendly country as well, a lot of the times. And it's the sunniest capital in Europe, with almost 3,000 hours of sun per year on average. The next questions we ask is, what do people looking for when they look for an immigration program? So possibly of taking the family in the same application, a relatively shorter time to get citizenship, absence of requirement to live in the country. All of this actually, the Portugal Golden Visa can provide you with. And at the end of the 5 years, you can apply for the citizen and get the EU passport. And then after that, you can exit from the investment. So that's the main point, because a lot of the Golden Visa actually, if you don't, at the end, get the citizenship, you need to keep the investment as long as you want the residency or the visa to keep going. So in Portugal, you could actually exit from 5 years or maybe 6, 7 years, because we suggest clients to maintain the investment until they get their citizenship or PR. And then one of the last findings that we want to share is how comfortable are people to invest in funds, because before there are the options of funds and property. Right now, the property routes have been terminated. But as you can see, more than 40% are comfortable, very comfortable, and the other 44% are somewhat comfortable. So on average, over close to 90% have not a lot of problems of investing in funds. We will talk about that later on. And this is a summary of the Portugal Golden Visa, where you can live, work, and study in 27 EU countries after gaining your citizenship. And Otavio, which I will introduce a little bit later, will be talking about the new citizenship law. One of the interesting point is the Golden Visa, Portuguese Golden Visa is one of the most popular residency by investment program in Europe, and has more Golden Visa success case than all other European countries combined together. So next, I want to introduce Otavio. He's our legal counsel, and he will talk about the requirements and the application process.
Okay, great. Right, so, well, first of all, it's important to understand what are the current available options to qualify for the program, since we had some significant changes over the last few years, especially last year when the government decided to terminate the program for real estate investments. This was due to the huge rise in prices in the property market, and this decision was included in the measures to improve the housing sector here, since the GV investments were mostly related to the real estate market. It's controversial, but it is what it is. And as of now, those are the available options that we have. So first, we have 500k euros in non-real estate investment funds, which actually provides a wide list of options in the market. Later, we'll have fund managers to present to you some great opportunities in detail. Although this is currently the most used and, in my opinion, the easiest and most attractive option, because it has a good return, we have also other investments that also qualify for the Golden Visa in Portugal, such as 500k in scientific research, 500k in a Portuguese company with job creations. We have here some different ways to do that. We don't need to go through them in detail right now, but it's basically 500k the main investment. 250K in artistic production or maintenance of national cultural heritage. This must be an approved project here with the government, but this is also a possibility. It's lower than the others. And even job creation of at least 10 job positions in the country, remembering that these investment types, they will need to be kept here for at least 5 years. So this is what you will need to first make the investment and then keep it in Portugal for at least 5 years so you can keep the program for you. Well, the timeline for the process starts with the identification of such investment options and selecting what suits you best. Here at the Golden Portugal, we have all the necessary information to help you to do that in case you need. And then once you decide, you will need to make your investment. So you will need first to open a Portuguese bank account to which you will need to transfer the necessary amount from the country of origin. So it is through the Portuguese bank account that the investment must be made. Once it is concluded, you will need to prepare some basic personal documents for the application, such as having a valid passport and recent criminal record certificate. Should you wish an attorney to submit the application and monitor all the steps, it is also needed to prepare a power of attorney. Then we can submit the application through the portal. It's an online portal where we can upload all of your documents, and we can do that on your behalf. I didn't introduce myself at the beginning, but I'm a lawyer here with some experience in the field for about like 5 years, and I had already several clients, so we have the expertise in order to help you to prepare everything and also to coordinate what you need to gather and how to organize your documents so we can upload them. The submission through the portal has a cost of around 600 euros. So once you have everything prepared, you were able to make your investment, then we can submit everything through the portal. And after doing that, you will need to pay this fee for the submission. After that, as of now, we have a considerable delay for the process because of the pandemic, but also because of the recent high number of applications and lack of personnel at IMA. IMA is the immigration agency in Portugal, and they handle like all the requests, including GV. There is a waiting period now of around a year and a half to be notified with pre-approval, but we do believe that this is going to decrease due to some recent measures to improve IMA service. So when such notification is received, this pre-approval, we need to schedule an in-person appointment when the investor needs to be there to provide biometrics. So this is an in-person appointment that will be provided according to their availability once the investor receives this pre-approval. After around 4 months, IMA issues like a final approval from this appointment at IMA, the in-person appointment. And then there's a new fee that needs to be paid for the issuance of the residence permits. And this one is around 6,000 euros currently. The first residence permit, it's important to note here that this will be valid for 2 years and it is renewable for equal periods. It's different than the standard procedure. We have other visas here that, well, usually it is 2 plus 3 years. In this case, it's always periods of 2 years. Well, about the required documents. Basically, what needs to be submitted in the process is a valid passport, a copy of the tax ID from the country of origin. The investor needs to apply for the Portuguese NIF, the NIF. This one, it's the tax ID from Portugal. There is an investment statement that where the investor declares that commits to keep the investment for at least 5 years. There is a bank declaration where the bank attests the international transfer. There is the proof of your investment. This is the main part. And for example, for funds, the financial institution will need to sign a detailed statement showing that the investor, they were able to successfully have those units of participations in the investment fund. They will need also to provide an updated criminal record certificate. And if the investor has a lawyer, there is a power of attorney that needs to be submitted so the lawyer can make the application and follow all the steps. Right, so after that, it's really important here to understand what family members can also apply, because they can also be included in the process. These are the ones who can also apply by law. It's basically the spouse, children, and even parents, if possible, to prove dependence. If the applicant has also children over 18, in this case, they will need to prove dependence, okay, and then they can be included for the GV application and receive a residence permit as well. They will need to prove the family ties through a marriage or birth certificate. That's the main document that they will need to prepare. And also, if they are over 16, they will need to provide a recent criminal record certificate. They also just need to get a term of responsibility from the investor that will need to sign on their behalf, and then they can be included. Right, but why the Portugal Golden Visa is a good program? And here we have some main benefits. First, well, as Susana mentioned before, you can hold a special EU residence permit, because you can keep the residence permit by only staying in the country for 7 days during the first year, and actually 14 days in the subsequent periods of 2 years. So you don't even need to come to Portugal every year, because after the first year, you have this 2 years period where you can decide to spend 14 days in a row, or you can even adjust according to your convenience. This is also useful as a Schengen visa, because then with the residence permit, you are able to enter in 29 European countries from the Schengen area without needing to apply for a specific visa. So that's good for this reason as well. And most important, in the end of 5 years, the final, after you complete the period for the investment, you have some good options to proceed. You can apply for a permanent residence permit, needing to renew the card each 5 years and respect the same rule as of the days to spend in Portugal. So after you get the permanent residence permit, you will need to observe that rule of 7 and 14 days as well, in order to not lose this permit. And you can even apply for the Portuguese citizenship, being able to become an EU citizen with a wide range of rights within 27 countries of the common area. For these last two options, you will need to prove proficiency in Portuguese language level A2, which is not that hard, I promise. In case you fail, or even if you don't want to obtain the Portuguese citizenship in the end for any reason, it's possible to keep the investment and apply for another 2 years renewal. So you also have this possibility in the end. I usually receive some questions about family members that I think it's really important to clarify, and I can take this opportunity now just to tell you that if the investor won't apply with their family members, if they decide to apply by themselves only and include their family members later with by getting some rights here in Portugal after the investor receives their citizenship, it's also possible in some cases to pass these benefits to their relatives. For example, the spouse, if they are married for more than 3 years, they will be able to apply for the Portuguese citizenship as well. Minors could be they can be included if they are able to prove ties with Portugal, they can also apply once their parents will have the Portuguese citizenship. I mean, once the investor has the Portuguese citizenship, so they can also apply. And who is children more like over 18, they won't be able to apply in this case. So if there is a child that will be over 18 in the end of 5 years, it's important to include this child in the process for the GV application at the beginning. So those are the most important information that I had here to share. And thank you. I don't know, Susana, if we have some questions, something to clarify, I'll be here to help.
You briefly talked about like the citizenship for minors, because we always have, yeah.
Yeah, they can be included first because we have the first period of 5 years. So the family can decide if they all would like to apply at the beginning. Okay, but the thing is, if after 5 years, the minor is still under 18, they won't be able to apply through the time of residency, okay, because it's only for this type of application for the Portuguese citizenship. It's only for the ones who are over 18. What they can do, they can wait until they turn 18, or they can wait for their parents, one of them, to get the citizenship first, and then being a child of a Portuguese citizen, they can apply for the citizenship even before turning 18. But in this case, they will need to prove ties with Portugal.
Yeah, great. We have a few questions. One is, can both parents of the applicant and the spouse be included in the application? I think that should be yes, right?
For the GV application, yes, they can.
Yeah, and what is the rule for parents? Like,
yeah, so in this case, since they are adults, they will need to prove dependence. It's easier for the ones who are over 65, even though there's nothing in the law stating that it will be something like presumed if they are over 65 that they are dependents. But it's easier because it's something that once they prove that they are over 65, there is like by practice a proof of dependence that can be added to some other elements like bank transfers or tax return of that parent showing no income, or even medical reports can be used to prove this dependence.
okay. One questions we got is it possible to get a visa in another Schengen area and live in Portugal long term? That's not really related to the Portugal Golden Visa, but
well, I would say
so, right?
no.
Yeah.
There would be some really special cases for workers, highly qualified workers in another country of the Schengen area that could have some facilities to switch the permit to Portugal. There is like the blue card regime. It's more or less related to this. But no, the standard rule is not possible yet.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Octavio.